but it went straight down the middle like they said.
All right, it is time to talk about the great sport of golf and the sport that drives you crazy, golf. Okay, we all know that. If we try to play it, it just drives you crazy. We welcome in George Bryan the third to SportsTalk, as always, to talk some golf with us. George, love the sport, love what you stand for when it comes to golf, love everything about it, but it just drives you crazy. I was playing a match last Sunday. I was just doing, really pretty well, okay? First time playing in a long time. I go to the 18th. I've been hitting my drive. I took the Lou Holtz approach. The Lou Holtz approach was don't worry about hitting it long, just hit it in the fairway, right? The Lou Holtz approach. So I've been doing that, and I get to the 18th, and I'm in good shape to win this match, and I yanked my drive into a ditch on the left side. Anyway, eventually lost the hole by a stroke and lost the match. And that's what I'm talking about, the love of the game, but the frustration that the game, the heartbreak that the game can bring to you at any point in time.
And all I can say is I feel your pain, and it's been there, done that. It's the draw that seems to bring you back also. And complete privilege to mix it up on a Friday evening with you.
Yes. Yes.
And what a nice way to tee it off. And when you got that going, and you just can't wait to get back out. That's the first thing that comes to mind is, now I got to get back out and try it again. I just got to re-tee.
You're right. Going to do it here soon. But let's talk about, I know I have to pull it out of you, but I'm going to pull it out of you. I've already hit the leaderboard once from the Rocket Mortgage Classic up in Detroit. But again, Akshay Bhatia, who seems to be living at the top of the leaderboard every week, he's 13 under. Aaron Ray has caught up with him, 66-65. He's 13 under. Taylor Montgomery and Troy Merritt, 11 under. Eric Van Ruin is 11 under. Those two, Merritt, Van Ruin, each had 64s today. And Cameron Young's at 60 is at 11 under after a 66. Then Eric Cole, Cam Davis, and Joel Dahman, they're at 10 under. And then in a tie for 10th at 9 under, we got Jake Knapp, Sam Stevens, Neil Shipley, Joe Highsmith, and Wesley Bryan. So a 68 and a 67 for young Wesley. Have you communicated? How's he feeling?
Well, not directly with him. But when you're playing the way he has been, good. However, this entire year has either been kind of what you expressed in terms of frustration or ecstasy. Now, he finished second in the Dominican, and that was quite a run that he had that week. The way he plays golf, he is subject to ignite and do what he does, what he's done this week. And, I have to admit, he's not always that easy to watch, but it is fun. It is a lot of fun. So, and you mentioned some other names too.
He keeps it fun. He keeps it lighthearted. I saw he put out a tweet. He's tweeting even though he's playing. Of course, this was after his round. I think he was going to be shooting some video down in Georgia, and he was telling his people, "Hey, I'll be there Monday. I'm going to be busy the next 2 days." So, that's a good thing. He's going to be busy the next 2 days.
He's been a Monday through Friday tour player for a lot of the season, and those kind really have a hard. It's hard to make a living Monday through Friday on the PGA Tour. You get paid on the weekend, so he's made some cuts this year, but he's missed a lot of cuts too, and he gets to work the weekend, and that's a good golf course for him. You mentioned some other players that are a lot of fun, and one that I have heard for probably a couple of years, but Akshay Bhatia And I hear some of the analysts say his name a little different. Maybe maybe it's a different way to pronounce. But in short, I've heard now for the better part of a year and a half and I've seen him play in person numerous occasions, but Akshay, he could easily be world's number one in the next few years. He's very, very young, and he loves to have fun, and he's not ultra conservative out there playing this game. That golf course, Old Donald Ross, probably sets up really good for him. But there's another one on the leaderboard. I think he's making his professional debut, and he might be in there right around the number that Wesley, and he played at Ohio State. He was runner-up in the U.S. Amateur, I think. He's a big kid. Throughout the game ball, and he's an amateur, hadn't kept up that much like I should. Help me out, Phil. Take me, and big boy from Ohio State. Chipley,
yeah.
Yeah, he's a lot of fun to watch too. And that one, I've got to give credit to my wife. She is right beside me, and she probably keeps up with all these names a lot better than I. But this kid's a lot of fun to watch. Look forward to seeing how he does in his debut. I tell you what, he short arms that pitch. He needs to work on his fastball a little bit, but he's got some golf game. That's a fact.
All right, now I'm going to correct you because you obviously correct me when I butcher a name. You didn't butcher it, but going by his pronunciation on his bio, it's Akshay Bhatia. The T is pronounced.
My wife is saying it right along with you. I appreciate that. Honey Bunny and Phil, but every time that I've been around him, it's Bahia.
Yeah. He is 6'1", 130 pounds. How can he be 130 pounds at the age of 22? Yeah.
I would bet against 130 if he stood on any scale I'm around. I bet it's more like 120.
Really? I mean,
he just pounds it. He just absolutely annihilates that golf ball too. I don't get it.
He's won over $7 million in his young career. He's only 22. If he stuffed his pockets with the $7 million, he'd probably weigh 150 pounds. What would $7 million weigh in your pocket, you think, if you stuffed your pocket with $7 million? Huh?
That's yet one more thought I've never had in my life, but thank you, Phil Kornblue.
Yeah, I'm always thinking about these sort of things. But he's got 2 career wins, one this year. He's 15th in the FedEx standings, 29th in the world rankings. And you're right, watching him, he whips it. I mean, where does it come from with him? Well,
that's one of the things we have spoken about, and we'll get kind of technical from time to time on our biceps, Birdie's Bogeys and Biceps segment sponsored by Tsunami Bar Sport. But he uses his body a little bit like that Mini 47, which it's like an exaggerated rubber band it's a rubber thermal, but his body just acts like a whip. And that's where he gets that ultra speed. And here's what is intriguing. He's a lefty. He plays it left to right effectively. That means, he plays it right to left effectively in a highly effective way with a lot of power. That means he's usually playing a fade. A fade is a lot more predictable. He's exceptionally long playing a fade, and he's fearless, absolutely fearless with a short game that probably, as far as I've seen, it's as good as any of these young players, and the young players are coming out with some special gifts when it comes to the touch around the green. So, Phil, I'm heading up into some mountainous terrain. My wife and I play games with each other. And
now, George, we don't want to hear about the old George Bryan personal life here now.
No, you're going to hear the rated G part, and this is what we've been doing 38 years of marriage. But before, she looked at me today and says, "Hey, guess what? we're going somewhere.
Okay.
And it's golf. It's golf. So we're in the car. We're heading up towards in mountainous terrain. We could lose you, but we're going to go find somewhere to play golf on short notice. It's her idea, and that's a fact. Don't tell anybody. We'll find out.
All right.
We'll find out tonight who's actually listening, but nobody's supposed to know that we're going on a golf rendezvous.
Okay, now I got to throw this at you, and we got you. You sound good, and 38 years together, that's awesome. That's awesome. I could never, George, I know golf is the lifeblood of the Bryan family. I understand that. It's what makes the Bryan family tick. But I could never, ever in a million years play a round of golf with my wife. I mean, somebody would die. I'm not sure which, but there would be a murder. So how do you do it? How do you handle that?
Well, my wife's number one. She's getting quite a chuckle out of you tonight. She doesn't like speakerphone, but that's what I'm doing so I can make sure I watch the bars on the phone. I got her phone in case this one doesn't work. But hey, she is so much fun to play golf with. Usually
I hear her laughing in the background.
Hey, she'll take a swing at it, giggle at it, and she doesn't like to overdo it. So she'll take a swing here or there, and she'll be usually looking on her phone, looking at grandbaby pics, and she more rides in the cart and swings a little bit and looks at a lot of pics on the phone, and she might get out. Depends on where we end up. She hadn't told me where we're going. This is again one of those games that we've been doing for a long time. But she looked at me today and said, "Hey, guess what? We're out." And she also had kind of done a little back work and found out what my schedule was supposed to be tomorrow, and she took care of that too. I've got it better than anybody I've known forever, and I call her my honey bunny. And we're on one of those trips right now. So, hey, if I lose you, I guarantee you'll figure out what to do in my absence. But we're climbing some heavy-duty mountains right now and heading north. So
we'll keep your eye on the road. Got a couple things to bounce off of you.
I do too, Phil. Before we lose him, I got one I want to slide in there if we got time.
All right. Well, hang on, everybody. We're going to do that. George, the WSCGA Junior Girls Championship was played and completed yesterday. That's the Women's South Carolina Golf Association Junior Girls Championship. Caroline Hawkins was the winner at 7 under par. They played this down at the beach, and Puggy Blackman is her coach. Do you know her? Do you know her game?
I actually ran into Puggy this week. We got to have him, got to invite him back on the show. My bad. Dropped the ball on that. You asked me if I had a guest, and I drew a blank tonight, and I should have called Puggy. But, yeah, I've seen her play. I saw her last spring only for a few holes. Unbelievable young talent. And Puggy Blackman is one of the great teachers in our community, but also just in the world. And I can tell you, she can really play. She'll be fun to watch, and she's also very young. I don't think she's of driving age yet.
Huh.
She can drive her golf ball, just not a car, I don't think. I could be wrong about that. I think she's maybe a ninth grader.
Well,
out of Blythewood.
She finished at 7 under, rounds of 71, 68, and 70. She won by 13 shots. So complete domination by her, so congratulations. And then, just want to mention this, SCGA, we've got the Amateur Championship qualifying coming up on Monday. One will be at Oak Hills. Another will be, that's on Monday, and then there's another qualifying round at Ponderosa on July 8th. And then the SCGA Amateur Championship will be on August the 1st. So I guess folks will have a chance to get into that field. George, you giving it any thoughts of getting to Oak Hills or Ponderosa and chasing it around a little bit?
I would love to be out to see how those amateurs, those qualifiers are a lot of fun, and it is just the South Carolina Amateur is one of the more prestigious events to play in, and it's not easy to do. And I'm not eligible because of my status. I'm a professional, and I've aged out. However, we will talk about those who earn the privilege in. So you have to qualify. Usually, it used to be you could get in shooting 75, 6, or 7. You'll have to shoot probably right around par on those courses you mentioned. And Ponderosa and Oak Hills are certainly two of my favorites. So, that'll be fun to talk about.
My buddy Mike Anthony, the former great high school football coach, I think he plays like 4 days a week at Ponderosa. He makes the ride down there from up in Union County. I think he knows every nook and cranny of Ponderosa. But get this, George, the amateur championship this year is going to be played at the Country Club of Charleston. How about that?
Oh, wow. What a beautiful setting and truly a championship golf course. And, man, thank you for Country Club of Charleston hosting this event. It's already hosted U.S. Women's Amateur, U.S. Other major USGA events, and probably one of my top 5 courses in the whole world. It is awesome.
Yep.
Great
Pat.
Players, great members too.
All right, Pat, what you got for George?
Hey,
Pat,
sorry about
what you
that.
got for George?
Sorry, I was talking to a caller off air there. So I'm going to shift a little bit here to one of the tours that maybe we don't talk about as much. But something just spectacular happened today, and unprecedented at the U.S. Senior Open. Frank Bensel, a 56-year-old club pro from New York, made back-to-back holes in one at the U.S. Open today. It was a first in the 1001 tournament history of the USGA and believed to be the only time it's happened on any major golf tour. The only other example that I could find was back in 1897, the U.S. mid-amateur, a guy named Donald Bliss, did it in Dallas, acing the 8th and 10th holes. But this was different. This happened today, and just the odds of a player even making 2 aces in the same round, according to this, are 67 million to 1. So my thoughts here is Frank Bensel did that today, but he still missed the cut. So he still shot a combined 9 over, 5 over round 1, 4 over today. But he did that even with back-to-back aces. And I just got to ask both of you your thoughts on that. I've never dreamt of hitting a hole-in-one. I've hit the pin a few times, and then it bounced about 30 feet away, sometimes into the water, unfortunately. But just your thoughts on what kind of accomplishment this is. Just if it's whatever. Any thoughts on that, George?
So are you saying, I haven't looked. I think I looked at his scorecard. Was this on back-to-back holes?
So that's where I'm having a hard time finding. If you go to a PGA Tour event and you click on the scorecard, you can see the actual scorecard itself. I have yet to find an actual scorecard, but this is reading that he did it in back-to-back holes. But I don't know of many courses that have back-to-back par 3s, so I don't know if it's actually back-to-back holes or just back-to-back par 3s.
Let me look it up while George talks about that. How about that? No matter where he did it, George, having 2 aces in the same round, that's incredible.
Well, what comes to mind is I will take in a heartbeat 2 hole-in-ones. Who cares if you make the cut? That's so 1 in 2 hole. That gives you a chance to get the ticket to go to Vegas, because the man ought to be flying right now in the air heading to Vegas. That's where he should be. And nobody will ever even talk about the fact that he missed the cut. Nobody cares. 2 hole-in-ones is unbelievable. And it's, that's a famous, all I can think of is Rhode Island, but it's not that country club. It is in the New England area and Newport Country Club. I think that's it.
That's right.
And it could be back-to-back par 3s. I've never heard of that. And we're talking about, 1 in, what'd you say, 67 million?
That's right. 1 in 67 million. And
that's what's crazy about the game.
It was back-to-back holes, by the way. It was hole 4 and hole 5, so it was back-to-back par threes.
What major
Absolutely.
championship, George, has back-to-back par threes in it? That's just
Well,
weird
I guess
itself.
Hey, the U.S. Senior Open, and
Yeah.
the players are raving about how much fun they're having on that venue. At least what I've heard. Not I hadn't watched 36 holes, but I did tune in a little bit yesterday, enough to know that they are enjoying the round again. And it looks beautiful. Any of those old style golf clubs, usually you have the greens and the tees close together, and that no mechanization building them back in that day. So they were using hand shovels, mules, plows, that kind of thing, just digging it out of the dirt. And I've never played it, but just what I saw on TV. And I hope everybody will tune in just so they can get a slice of that beauty the weekend.
Here's his scorecard so he played the first 3 holes plus 1. He bogeyed number 4. He parred 1. He parred number 2. Then he comes to the first par 3, and he aced it. And then he goes to the next hole, which is a par 3, and he aces it. All right, there's your back-to-back hole-in-ones, or holes-in-one, I guess you should say. So at that point, he's 3 under par. He went from +1 to -1 to -3. Then he proceeded to go bogey, 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 bogey. So he made the turn at 1 over par. And then he parred the first 2 on the backside. Then he went bogey, bogey, par, and bogey. So he had 3 bogeys on the back, and he finishes at +4, and he misses the cut. So the guy must have the heck of a, I don't know, he probably hit, 8 iron, 9 iron to those par 3s, but otherwise kind of struggled a little bit.
Hey, who cares? After you make that second hole-in-one, you're pretty much toast anyway. All he could think about was getting to the clubhouse and celebrating. And then getting that air ticket, getting that plane ticket on out. And I tell you, that's one of the things. I did a junior golf camp, or I was part of the camp this week for the Irmo Chapin Recreation Commission, and something I've been involved in since 1988. And the kids have such an odd but pure perspective. When you say, hey, what do you do with the ball? And they go, well, you hit it in the hole.
Yeah.
And I just think that's what we all ought to try to do. In fact, at the Scramble at Tsunami Bar Sports, we'll be talking more about that, 6-hole chip and putt. And hole-in-ones are much fun, and we've already had numerous take place. We're not even open yet. So one of the things that I believe while we head out to the weekend, might as well aim at it. Our club pro in the U.S. Open, U.S. Senior Open, he's proved you might as well. Why not? So the Scramble will be open by summer's end. We've been doing some work around there. We'll have all the wrinkles ironed out. So it'll be 6 holes, play in less than 10 minutes. And
love it.
With every swing, it's possible to knock that ball in the hole. And what are we trying to do with a golf ball? Oh, that's right. Knock it in the hole in the least number of strokes possible.
Well, his first hole-in-one was 184 yards. The second one was 203 yards. So that's those 2 par 3s, and that's pretty good living on those 2 holes. But you know what? If I'm going hole-in-one, I'm not going to finish up with 4 straight bogeys. I'm going to figure out a way to finish up with I'm going to get me at least 1 par coming in. George, we got to wrap it, my friend.
Man, until next week, see 'em high, have some fun this weekend. Happy 4th, and shoot 'em low.
Thank you, sir. Enjoyed it. Brought to you by Tsunami Bar Sports, Birdies, Bogeys, and Biceps. Thank you, Pat, my friend. Great hearing from you. Great job. I'm gone for the next 2 weeks. We'll see you when we get back. Take care.